Welcome to the show. Now, as PDP presidential candidate Atikugate this week took his campaigns across the southwest states of Ekiti, Ogun, and rounding off with Oyo State, where the governor Shenanigans and the deputy national chairman of the state in the southwest of Atikugate were conspicuously absent at the Ibadan rally due to their loyalty to the aggrieved G5 governors. A lot of things have been happening in the party. Atiku also had to grapple with a suit filed against him at the Federal High Court in Abuja, seeking an order compelling him to surrender himself to anti-graft agencies such as the EFCC, ICPC, and CCB for thorough investigations. Now, the suit was filed by the governing APC Presidential Campaign Council and its spokesperson, Festus Keyamo, who had during the week called for his immediate arrest and prosecution over alleged abuse of powers via the setup of a special purpose vehicle, SPV, to allegedly enrich himself. But Atiku has dismissed the allegations by the governing APC, describing it as mere allegations without substance and mudslinging, which he would not respond to. The main opposition party also suspended some of its chieftains in Ekiti, Osun, and Imo states due to alleged anti-party activities. The PDP chieftains include former Enugu State Governor and Senator Chimaroke Namani. We also had Chris Ogbu from Imo State and former Governor Ayo Fayeshe's aides, Lereo Olayinka and John Fayeshe, who's related to former Governor Ayo Fayeshe. Well, to help us make sense of all of these intrigues in Nigeria's main opposition party, the PDP, and other issues in the polity, I have joining me in the studio, Professor Udenta, who is the former National Secretary of the Alliance for Democracy. He's a political strategist and policy expert. Thank you so much, Udenta, for joining us.
It's my pleasure to be with you as always.
Yeah, I mean, you were on a rise during the week, and some of the things you said are still ongoing, and with all of these things coming up, especially in the main opposition, PDP, what do you make, first of all these allegations against the PDP's presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar by the APC, and then Governor Shenanigans not turning up alongside with Taofeek Arakpaja, the PDP deputy national chairman for the Southwest, not coming out at all to embrace Atiku in Oyo State? And then, of course, you have the suspension by the PDP of these top chieftains, including Chimaroke Namani. What do you make of all that's going on in the PDP?
Before I get to there, and I'm sure we get there, I have to narrate a harrowing experience I had coming to this studio. I nearly never made it to the studio. Wow. From my location, I saw a long line of vehicles, of cars, trucks, and so on, for almost 2-3 kilometers, blocking the road. I managed to squeeze through. Then there was a rush. Apparently, there was a signal somewhere that this filling station has got fuel. Before there was no fuel. The movement of vehicles across, crisscrossing the road, so nearly hit me. I had to pause and stop. And I looked around and saw thousands of Nigerian vehicles, men and women, leaning out of their windows. Their faces fallen, sadness in their eyes. It's not just a momentary kind of circumstance or situation. It's been there for the past 30 months, because I live in Abuja here. Repeated, persistent, and unending scarcity of petroleum products which we produce in quantum. That's the legacy of the APC government. That's the inheritance Nigeria is going to have post-2023. That is what...
So instead of facing some of those issues, APC is busy doing other things. Is that what you're saying?
That is what Bola Tinubu is going to run on. Across the country, in Lagos, in Abuja, in Badapon, even the villages. I'm surprised that even opposition parties, the PDP, Labour, and so on, are not taking camera crew across the country, in all the cities, recording the misery of Nigerians. That's the plank on which APC will run. I said that Tinubu will run for Buhari's third term. That third term is total collapse of the institutional and systemic infrastructure of delivering products. Yes. That's on that. Because
the opposition itself is not well organized to take power.
But that is now, I'm sure that they will intensify. Intensification of this kind of method of graphic visual demonstration of the failure of the auditors of this government. That is the plank on which Bola Tinubu is going to run. Because I'm putting this out before I tackle the questions you raised, because of the personal experience I had now. The clothes shaped with an accident because of something that is routine, common, and ordinary. Now, coming to the issues you raised. Any student of politics and power will tell you there are two types of research in a presidential campaign: policy research and candidate research. Candidate research has two dimensions: opposition research and your own candidate research. All these shenanigans and this noise making about Atiku and the special purpose vehicle is all part of opposition method to deflect, distract, and then take people away from the monumental failure of this government and the monumental capacity of the government to solve the issues of the day. Because the moment you are going to focus attention on the opposition, or what supposedly may have been infraction that does not exist in the realm of imagination, people's attention will focus there. It's part of a strategy to engage the public with what you want the public to see. But the key issue there is APC and Bola Tinubu will run on Buhari's legacy. He's going to be the third term of Buhari. If Buhari did well in economy, Tinubu is going to do well. If he did well in security, tamed Boko Haram, tamed down banditry, destroyed maybe terrorist infrastructures, ended corruption in every way, and equally look at the Southeast and the South-South. The level of criminality, level of insecurity, burning of INEC institutions, destruction of public facilities. If he's been able to sort out these problems, APC will do well. So long as these problems persist, the party is going to fail woefully. The most irrational part of our politics of the logic is the fact that APC is even a legitimate contender for power in this dispensation. So when you talk about Atiku and the special purpose vehicle, it's entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, during your interview within the week, you were actually emphasizing that Atiku Abubakar is going to win. But when you have what looks like a divided house in the main opposition party and with the Labour Party eaten deeply into the chances of the PDP to bounce back to power alongside the NMPP, a lot of people were saying that it looks like you got your calculations wrong. And with this allegation by the APC of an SPV and all of that against Atiku, people are saying that it looks like his chances are being eroded.
As an analyst, it's my duty to look at the data before me. This data must be examined objectively without sentiment. I said clearly, in the realm of probabilities, that's what politics is all about, of choices and preferences. How will the voter behave when he goes to the field to vote on the voting day? That the preponderance of evidence now point to an Atiku victory. And I still persist in that mindset. For the simple reason that there's a convergence, as I said earlier, of elite forces and even mass forces around him, in spite of the issues you raised in terms of the party. Is it too coherent? Is it too organized? Are there issues with the G5 and so on? These are intimations of family issues which will persist in politics. If you look at APC, for example, what are the presidential aspirants? Do I have to name them? Where are they in Tinubu's campaign? A lot of them have gone silent. Even one of them, 7 minutes, said, I don't know where I'm going to vote. Atiku is my friend. Tinubu is a friend. Obi is a friend. If you look at the Southeast APC frontier, it's completely depleted because people there are disenchanted. Don't I talk about the governors, the former ministers who ran for election there? Even in the north.
Well,
so I think the idea
that they actually have the northern governors backing him and a lot of people in the north.
You don't even know how the northern governor is going to behave. What you see in public is not what is in private. I've been deeply in this process because I've been here all along. If you see what is going on behind the scenes, you'll be shocked. And the way the masses will vote in the north or riot with their ballot paper in the north, in the south, in the east will shock many. So the preponderance of this national forces building around and coalescing around Atiku is a massive plus. If you look at the abject failure of the APC government, as I said, not only on Arise, on the other platforms I've been speaking to, we point to clear the service for Tinubu and his team. And finally, if you look at geography and demography, I deposit there, and it's clear.
Well,
that the way
a lot of people, especially in the Labour Party, are disagreeing with some of your analysis, saying that, look, Obi has eaten into the votes of the PDP in the southeast and the south-south. And if you see the reception he had in Jos Plateau State within the north central, it looks like Obi is marching towards eating into the votes of the PDP in the north central. So where will Atiku Abubakar and the PDP be getting the votes from?
What I can tell you here, if you dismiss and dislodge APC from the equation of power as a major contending force for the political office in 2023, the presidency, you look at PDP and then an insurgent Labour Party, head on their heels, lapping on their heels. But if you break down the demographics in the country, you discover that the South-South is still predominantly, in terms of DNA, a PDP zone, with the exception of the situation in Rivers. You don't know how it's going to play out subsequently. If you have the infrastructure you've built over the years working for you, it is difficult to dislodge that infrastructure. Labour is going to do well in a number of places. I did project that Labour is going to do well, but Labour will fall short. The revolutionary process or insurrectional process Obi has initiated will not be completed. The time scale for that completion, maybe 2025, 2026. If it persists in building this kind of momentum for the next 3-4 years, Labour will do better in 2027.
Yeah,
so
yes, as an incomplete revolution.
Incomplete process, because why it is incomplete. The incompleteness of it is the sheer landmass of the country, the sheer diversity of the demographics, the sheer number of the polling units that you must police with your agents everywhere. Because even with the beavers, infrastructure, you don't have the agent to police everywhere. And I do not know whether, because I'm not in the Labour Party, I'm not even in PDP, official as a campaign spokesperson, but what I detect, being a student of history and politics and power, is that Labour is going to be an engine that's going to keep revving even beyond the election. But PDP, Atiku is going to nick it. First round, no rerun. No rerun election, because it's pretty obvious. And the other issue you raised,
and many people keep disputing that with you, Udenta. They keep saying that, look, Atiku Abubakar has a lot of challenges going on in his private life, and then, of course, in the PDP. And they keep telling you that, I mean, if you would have read everything that people said on social media, there's also the accusation that you are betraying your own tribesman, Peter Obi. I mean, shouldn't intellectuals like you, who are very sound, be supporting the Peter Obi presidency?
Okay, I'm going to clear all that. One, look at your rally for PDP. You mentioned Arapaja. You mentioned the governor. Who else was not there? All the candidates for the state assembly. All the candidates for the reps and the Senate, all the leaders for the party across board, including Makinde's core people, were there. So Makinde's absence is symbolic. Until the party sort itself out, maybe in the next 1-2 weeks, he too will come on board. The Oyo rally was a unified rally, and on the 4th of next month, the Enugu rally of PDP will be a unified rally. The governor may step out, he may be in there, every other person will be there. So isolating individual tendencies within the G5 as a measure of what Atiku can build coherence within his party infrastructure is the wrong way to approach it. Secondly, the party hammer on the likes of Chimoroke Naman and the rest of them is measured and decisive. The party is supreme, not only for PDP, equally for APC and Labour. If you allow the party to unravel because of the dominance of personalities who can hit their weight anywhere that suits them, the party will not survive as a coherent entity. So coming now, a crucial stage is to set the warning sign to other people down the line. No individual is bigger than a party. If a party is not confident in itself, and willing to lead,
except for the governors, because we are not seeing the governors being reporting, the likes of Wike and others.
Because at the end of the day, Chimoroke Namani, who was my former governor of the Enugu State, declared openly for a candidate of another party. So far, the G5 have contained themselves, distanced themselves from campaigns, lent their people to support, and waiting for whatever outcome that is going to happen. So PDP are taking a wise decision in sanctioning these individuals to bring order and sanity. Now, another point you raised is, as an intellectual, my first instinct is as a scholar, as a studied analyst of the Nigerian political process. The second one is my heart. I've given my all to the prospect of a president of an Igbo extraction or Southeast extraction. That's been my mantra. But not as an afterthought, which it was at the beginning. I'm happy Obi has galvanized the energy of the youth and discontented elite and mobilized the mass for the South in order to become a contender. But that being the case, if you have an Atiku as a president, it's almost as having an Obi as a president. Why do I say so? Atiku's path to presidency is an easier path for the Southeast. A Tinubu path is a distant thought, because a Tinubu presidency will provide 8 years of the intensification and consolidation of Southwest hegemony, which is part of what you have with Buhari and Osinbajo. What you have with Obasanjo as a president for 8 years. That makes 8 years in the Southwest, another 8 years in the North. And Atiku 4 years or 8 years is an easier ride. If Obi falls short, it's part of the heart of the people, including my own heart. The people must go with their head. My head is that a practical, convulsive political process of now, we dictate, I think, a right, in spite of whatever challenges I may have at home. In taking a right means, if it is not Obi and it is Labour, so be it, but never APC.
Well, there's been this thought that a lot of you intellectuals from the Southeast seem to be galvanizing support Atiku Abubakar in preparation for a potential Chukwuma Soludo presidential ticket in the PDP in the future. That this is a sort of preparation, and from the talks that Chukwuma Soludo has been saying, the governor of Anambra State, it's more of like a preparation. Some of you are out there, you know, laying foundations for him to come and join the PDP in the future.
There's a politics of probability, and politics of possibility, and politics of dream. We deal now with probability. What is happening before us? It's a very historic election unfolding before our very eyes. The contest of power from all the platforms I've been part of shows that there's going to be some tectonic shifts or seismic movements here and there. My predictive, outcome in terms of the analytics of my data is that Atiku will win. But then, that is if the party and every one individual and national elite and the mass of the people work towards that outcome. Then that predictive, preference on my own part, based on data I've examined, will work out. For me to go beyond 2023, even as a scholar, is beyond the realm of imagination. I can only pretend to say this is how the 2023 will shape. And if Atiku wins, this is the kind of government he should run. Me, the non-party member, I don't have the card of PDP. As I said, after AD, I don't belong to a party. So this position of Soludo's intention from Apuga in trying to gather support for Atiku is beyond the realm of even possibility. It's the realm of dream and intimations of dream. That is something which I cannot dignify with any serious intent. The other problem we should talk about is what kind of president do we have in Nigeria? Do we require for now? Do we have a president who is measured in tone? A president who is simple-minded and understanding of what the issues are, not only what the issues are in terms of economic issues or policy issues, in terms of sensitivities. The problem I have with my friend Bola Tinubu, because we don't Alliance for Democracy, I was the founding secretary of that party and the boss of almost.
You would have processed all his papers while he was nominated
I was the boss
as governorship candidate,
and I ran the party as the national secretary with firmness and authority. The records are there, but there's what I call the transmogrification of that entity from the realm of humanity to where it is now.
Yeah,
when I hear things,
why did you come to that conclusion?
Because I know from the beginning the sense of humility and vulnerabilities and insecurities every one of us has, including him. But when you hear things like Kimilokun, when you hear the savagery with which that Ogun tape was delivered, when he had the harsh words even against the sitting president, the general cried. And I ran to his rescue. Without me, we wouldn't have been president. That's unbecoming of a leader who proposed to become the president. But yeah, but
if he has invested so much in the APC, shouldn't he be reaping his investment?
We should know, even you know, that APC wouldn't have gone anywhere without the movement that occurred in 2013, 2014. I won't go into that in detail. But when you talk about a Leahy to a sitting governor, even you, this one, with President, yes, as the president and commander-in-chief, I'm frightened about the prospect of the Nigerian military code, not the nuclear code, falling to such a hand. When you hear that our Rice news editors and all details of other newspapers are being hounded, tossed out of meetings, under direct provision of the infrastructure of power in the campaign built around him, when I hear that press council is being invoked, NBC being invoked, I warned against it. This is the part that is too.
So you think an Atiku will be better than Tinubu if given the presidential power?
Even what you can say about P2B is even that. Soludo had the tough words for him. Tough words. Not harsh, but tough words. It could be tough love. I love you as a friend, as a brother, but you cannot get there. You will not get there. What did Obi say in return? I was a trader as a governor. You are a professor. That means do better than where I stopped.
Yeah.
When Atoeze said it is going to be Atiku, nobody else, I don't think you're serious. What did he say? He said, that's a respected businessman. He has only one opinion and one vote. Atiku is even more measured that he will not even dignify any of these things like this SBF with any comment. That means the temperament is very important because you're the commander-in-chief.
Yeah. But
so it is even disqualifying.
Promoting a northern hegemony. I mean, if you want an Atiku to come back, isn't it promoting the North completing 8 years and handing over to another northerner? I mean, if you are seeking political justice in the country, shouldn't it be going elsewhere? Somna Sambo, to call your full name, I've had invigorating conversations with you several times. Zoning between the North and South is fraudulent. I've said it. It is a fraud. You must micro-zone to geographies and demographics in the South and in the North. If you start from Ahmadu Bello, or even Atmandanfodio from the Fulani corridor, right through to Ahmadu Bello, right through to Shagari, right through to, late Marishi, Yaradua, right through to Buhari. That's the Northwestern Fulani corridor. And I have, from even Gowan and Awolowo in 67, right through to Buhari and Osibanjo in 2015 to now. That's intensification of Southwest hegemony. That's not a Southern thing.
We've had Obasanjo for 8 years in the south and Osinbajo for 8 years in the south, southwest, both southwest. And Jonathan, you have 5 years as a president, 2.5 years as a vice president. It means, therefore, that you're not dealing with the south as a combined monolithic unit and community.
Yeah.
And if you break it down, the southeast and the northeast have been shortchanged. That's why I embrace Bala Mohammed at the primary level. That's why I'm embracing, even as an analyst. If I don the cap of a PDP, activists for the purpose of this election, the conversation will be different.
You seem to be
because it suits the southeast for me. It will be falls short and it's not there. The northeast that has been equally dismembered in terms of presidential power and depressed.
Yeah, I mean, some people have actually said Udenta, that if there was political justice in Nigeria, I mean, the race should have been between the southeast and the northeast.
So
I mean, why do you subscribe to that?
Because post 66, when Nnamdi Azikiwe was the ceremonial president and Tafawa Balewa was the prime minister, and that ended up probably January 66. Till date, almost 60 years, 57, 50, whatever years, these two zones have been shortchanged. Even when you talk of military presidential power, authorities of heads of state don't seem to have had more than some feet of their own. From Gowon, you talk of the Babangida and the rest of them combined could give you about 13, 14, 17 years. So Northeast has as deep a claim as the Southeast. But when you now lump the Northeast with the North Central and the Northwest, you may actually get a president from the Northwest again. That again becomes that hegemony, intensified and complicated further. But when you have a Northeast, anybody in the study will say, they should be speaking more for the Southeast.
There's a tough choice between the Northeasterners this time around. They have a vice presidential candidate in the main All Progressives Congress, while they have a presidential candidate in the main opposition, PDP. So there's a choice between either going for a presidential candidate or a vice presidential candidate. For the Southeast, there's a choice of choosing a presidential candidate in the form of in the person of Peter Obi, and then of course Atokowa, who although from the southwest also has a leg in the southeast. Okay. So it looks like both zones, in one way or the other, may have a chance to actually produce a president or vice presidential candidate.
Let's unpack it. That means favorable for the zone. That's fine. Unpacking things, the logic is fine and firm and direct and sequential. The key thing is the preponderance of probabilities. What will likely be the outcome? My head is still signaling that it's a PDP Atiku win. My heart, as a being with some pump in there, may say, okay, do difference to the revolutionary moment and fervor that Obi has generated. That is fine, beyond any shadow of doubt. But my head is still guided that it may take flack from some entities who say, why are you thinking only with the head and not with the heart? The head is important because of the guidance of the future and the experience of the past.
Well, the Southwest will just be laughing at you in all of these calculations of it, because they don't care about the Northeast or the Southeast. What they are saying is that they've invested so much in this SPV called the All Progressives Congress. So
there's another SPV now.
Because it looks like another SPV that was set up in 2015 for the purpose of winning elections. So if they've invested so much, shouldn't they recoup their investments with a potential Tinubu presidency?
Now what you do is a recouping investment. Is a recouping investment for the security of the nation, investment for the peace of the nation, investment for the harmony of the nation, investment for balance, geopolitical balance, geographic balance, and demographic balance. If you have an Obasanjo, you can separate that as a president, even though under PDP for 8 years, and Osinbajo for 8 years, and a combined 16-year period of time in history, you tested presidential power and you've not recouped enough. If that term should be allowed even in discourse, you're not recouping any investment. You're invested into patriotic ideas, into values, into promoting the culture of progress and development. Other entities equally invested across the country. Northeast invested. Borno gave. Yobe gave. Taraba gave. Part of Bauchi gave. So the key thing is that when is the appetite of power, how can it be restrained? How can somebody say it is not a Milokun that is going to work for the country? It is the capacity to lead the country, and then the sensitivity and fair-mindedness that other parts of the country will have a stake in the country. If that has a stake, the Northeast has a stake, the Southeast has a stake. For me, the preponderance of probabilities point on Atiku victory. My head is guided towards that direction, even as a thinker, even as an analyst.
Well, very interesting analysis here. But as we try to round off this conversation, Professor Udenta, you know that religion and ethnicity actually plays plays a very key role in our elections. And as we get close to the election day, some people in the south and some parts of the north seem to be finding some sort of religious succor in a potential Peter Obi presidency, saying that, look, Peter Obi is Christian, we've had a Buhari who's finishing 8 years as a Muslim, so even though they would have loved to vote for an Atiku, but somehow, because of this Christian-Muslim debate, they think that an Obi should come to the fore. What do you have to say to those kind of people? I don't know where these kind of
realms of thinking are going on or taking place in. What I do know is that Nigeria needs balanced tickets. You balance a ticket not just across geographies or demographics, you balance across faith. The PDP ticket is heavily balanced. You have a Northeast candidate who is a Muslim. You have a South-South Igbo running mate who is a Christian. So that threshold of bestriding both the South-South and the Southeast by virtue of the dominance of the Igbo in the Southeast and being an Igbo and being in the South-South and being a Christian balances the ticket, infuses it with some measure of acceptability, rationality, and logic. You have even the Buhari Usibanjo, a Northwestern Muslim, a Fulani, and a pastor from the Southwest representing the Christian interests of the South, balanced. So the Atiku ticket is balanced, the B ticket is balanced, himself being from the Southeast a Christian, and they have Dati Ahmed from the Northwest a Muslim. Here you have the APC ticket that should be comprehensively disqualified on the basis of faith. Even though in the enlightenment project of modernity, you go beyond such primordial loyalties and go, say, competence, as skill set, and so on. But the country hasn't gotten there yet. So the conversation is still rudimentary and primal. That means to have a Tinubu as a Muslim and have Shetima as a Muslim is beyond the pale. It's a bridge too far for many individuals. So I suspect that even for the Christian communities in the South and the Middle Belt, they have a choice open for them, a balanced ticket of Atiku with a preponderance for probabilities to win, a balanced ticket of Obi with energy of the youth behind him. That makes for some conversation. As a lot of scholars are beginning to, and activists are beginning to weigh in, this thing about politics and power 2023 is actually a business between the PDP and Labour Party. We don't know why APC is still standing, but unfortunately so.
The members of the government party will disagree with you because, I mean, they keep saying that they've done well and all of that, despite some of the challenges you have talked about.
That is why the debate, that I nearly lost my life coming here because of people rushing across the road for petroleum products.
That's the challenge, actually. When you talk about some of these things, the APC members keep telling you it's a global problem.
It's not a global problem.
Global economic problem,
across the
challenge
country.
Here and there. And the Russia-Ukraine war is still affecting us. Buhari saying that the Libyan challenges are still with us.
If you have issues of insecurity, which unfortunately for us is not even a problem in the Niger Delta as it was under Yar'Adua or Obasanjo. You've completely tamed that. You even have an infrastructure privately driven now to protect assets.
Yeah.
It is simply incompetence and inefficiency. And as I said, if it was a one-off thing, petroleum products, PMS, said 270 to 500 in major cities before the very eyes of the security agencies and institutional reform and regulators. So it is not something that has persisted for a week or two. It is for now for 13 odd months.
So when they're preparing us for the final removal of the first subsidy,
when it is persistent there, it is then an arrogance of governance, because you don't even care whether you lose election when you're punishing the people. The people are being routinely punished on a daily basis. Leave even security, which is a scourge, beyond even the solution that the government can provide. You can talk about Ukraine and the rush of arms there. You can talk about the Maghreb and the Libya state collapse. Fine. Grapple with that. But when you talk of petroleum products in cities and villages and towns, and life has come to a standstill, thousands of man hours are lost, and it's unending. That means the government has come to its wit's end. That is the inheritance we have for this government. That is a legacy the Tinubu campaign is going to take along with them as they move into February election.
Well, some people actually say that that may affect the fortunes of the party. But as we try to talk about APC and Tinubu, we also have to talk about Atiku and the questions of corruption every now and then being raised against him. The APC is saying, including Tinubu, always saying that Atiku Abubakar will sell national assets. I mean, he was just at a forum, not quite long, I think 2 days back, where he was insisting that there are certain things he won't say because it looks like Atiku Abubakar may try to borrow some of his ideas. But the issue of corruption is still there with Atiku. These allegations must be probed. A member of his campaign team has taken Atiku Abubakar to court. Why does it look like Atiku is always surrounded by issues of corruption? Won't that affect his you know, his fortunes in the elections.
Okay, value judgment is an integral part of political conversation or dialogue. But why people like God do not weigh in that direction, because we need to have facts and evidence presented before us to deal with. If you are staying in power in the media, it's like 30, 40 years.
Well, one of the facts that was produced was a voice note where Atiku Abubakar is allegedly...
I'm happy you said allegedly.
Yeah,
that is value judgment. Allegedly means it must deposit not only a court of public opinion, it must deposit it in the proper court where it must be litigated. Would that only benefit brief Atiku if in the 30 years as a high public official who has been in politics, you've thrown mud at him repeatedly, but none has stuck? If none has stuck, then it means you're gambling. You're gambling with your choices. What do we do to throw at him? I won't talk about that in much. You know why? I won't even talk about my friend Bola Tinubu in terms of what the courts have even ruled outside the country. Not what you're supposed to rule. Not what the value system or judgment will be. What the courts have deposited as evidence and say, this and this and this is the record. This is a record available to everybody in the public domain, so I won't talk much about that. That one you can't even talk about, but people like God don't talk about it because it is something outside the realm of policy, outside the realm of personal judgment. This issue of intolerance, this issue of deification, that I can talk about. But the other one I can't talk about, not to talk about suppositions and speculations and allegations and suspicions of something which has never stuck.
All right, Udenta, just before I let you go, just very briefly, as an intellectual, what do you have to say about the preponderance of some of the presidential candidates to talk about domestic issues when they appeared at the Chatham House, rather than focusing on big policies, Nigeria's position in Africa, and how Nigeria is going to be if any of them wins and be seen by the world?
Let me tell you something. Even though nobody from the outside votes, and though nobody in the diaspora for now will still vote in Nigerian elections, even in the US, foreign policies really weigh in presidential elections. Domestic policy is where the meat is. This is what is called the kitchen table issues, the bread and butter issues. Who cares what, where, and how? How do you get petroleum products which under this government you cannot find? How do you have security sorted out? How do you have your kids back to school? How do you provide decent water supply for people, etc., etc.? So even when you have an international platform like the Chatham House, you're speaking not only to the foreigners who will understand your trust in terms of policy for them to know we can invest. So foreign direct investment is key to what you're going to do internally. Again, your governance public opinion towards that direction.
We must thank you so much, Professor Udenta. You've always been there for us to help us understand some of these issues, and we just hope that the elections will come and hold peacefully, and then of course the level of discourse will be elevated to that of issues and not personality issues. Professor Udenta is a former National Secretary of the Alliance for Democracy Party, one of the three major parties that birthed the Fourth Republic, which we currently are at the moment. I must thank you immensely for being with us, and we hope to have you some other time.